get to out of the house. We were out of the house at the American Century Championship in Tahoe. I got a little update with my caddy, Patrick Bacon. He was not blue on Friday because he made his weight.
For those who have followed the New Heights podcast, the Kelce brothers, Travis and Jason, are more than just football legends or charismatic hosts. Their sibling banter, raw honesty, and genuine affection have become a weekly comfort to millions. But in the latest episode, listeners found themselves gripped not by tales of gridiron glory, but by a far more human story. The heart-wrenching ordeal that swept Taylor Swift's family into uncertainty and brought the Kelces even closer to the pop superstar's inner circle. From the outset, the episode felt different. The familiar theme music faded, and Travis's voice, usually so robust, wavered ever so slightly. There was no talk of touchdowns or locker room pranks. Instead, Travis recounted the chilling moment his phone rang with Taylor Swift's name flashing on the screen, a call that would mark the beginning of days spent on edge. "I was heading into a charity event," Travis began, his words tumbling out more slowly than fans are used to. "My phone buzzed. Taylor on the line, voice low. She said, 'Dad's having surgery. It's serious.' I remember dropping my keys and just standing there, panic shooting through me. I'd never heard her sound so scared." It's a moment that instantly pulls the listener in. The voice of one of America's most famous athletes, cracking with real fear, not for himself, but for someone he loves. And in that moment, listeners became part of the Kelce Swift circle, feeling every beat of anxiety and hope. What followed was more than just a podcast segment. It was a masterclass in vulnerability. Travis explained how Pops, as he affectionately calls Scott Swift, had become like family to him. "You know, I'm close with Scott. I call him Pops already." When she said coronary artery bypass, I thought out loud, is he gonna make it? The gravity of the situation was clear. For a man who seems unshakable on the field, Travis was suddenly as human as the rest of us. Jason, ever the steady older brother, chimed in with admiration for Taylor's composure. "She juggled her tour schedule and hospital visits like a pro," he said, arranging flights, betting doctors, making sure everyone in the family was okay. It's easy to forget that even global superstars have moments when the world narrows to a single hospital waiting room. Yet for Taylor, there was no choice but to balance the demands of her era's tour, an unprecedented run that had broken records and drawn millions worldwide, with the needs of her family. Travis painted a scene that lingered in the mind. Taylor, usually strong and commanding before stadium crowds, now hunched over her phone in an ICU waiting room, updating loved ones between surgery rounds. "She's always been strong for us on stage," he said. But watching her in that ICU waiting room, texting me updates between surgery rounds, showed a queen in her truest form. There's something compelling about seeing the world's biggest stars stripped of their mystique. Here, Taylor Swift is not the pop icon, not the Grammy magnet, but a daughter or a sister, one among millions who have sat in hospital chairs, clutching their phones and praying for good news. The episode also prompted a look back at Taylor's own words about her family's trials. In a 2019 essay for Elle, she wrote, "Both of my parents have had cancer. I've had to learn how to handle serious illness in my family. It's taught me that there are real problems, and then there's everything else." That simple, powerful sentence has taken on new meaning in light of Scott's recent surgery. For those unfamiliar with Taylor's family, it's worth remembering how central her parents have been to her journey. Scott and Andrea Swift were her earliest champions, fueling the dreams of a young girl from Wyomissing, Pennsylvania. Long before the world knew her as the singer whose every lyric becomes a headline, Scott and Andrea were driving her to tiny local gigs, listening to her belt out songs at karaoke, and encouraging every step of her musical journey. Back in 2009, Scott told the University of Delaware newspaper she was always singing music when she was 3, 5, 6, 7 years old. It's Taylor doing what she likes to do. Even then, the pride and love were palpable. That foundation of family is part of what makes the Kelce Swift connection so powerful. The Kelce brothers know the importance of support, of rallying around one another when life gets rough. And as the podcast episode made crystal clear, those bonds of family, biological or chosen, are what sustain us through life's hardest moments. But the story doesn't end in the hospital. As Scott Swift recovered, Taylor's Eras tour continued its record-shattering run, culminating with a sold-out show in Vancouver, Canada, on December 8, 2024. Reports emerged of Scott and Andrea in the crowd, their faces beaming with pride, the weight of recent weeks etched into every smile. Photos capture them cheering as their daughter, still balancing fear and hope, commanded the stage, her voice as strong as ever. For fans, it was a reminder that life's biggest challenges don't pause for fame or fortune. Even as Taylor performed before tens of thousands, her mind and heart were with her family. The Kelce brothers, meanwhile, became more than just friends. They became pillars of support, sharing in every anxious text and every joyful update. The power of this story is not just in its celebrity, but in its universality. Who hasn't felt that jolt of fear when a loved one is ill? Who hasn't sat in a hospital waiting for news? Who hasn't leaned on family, by blood or by choice, when the world seemed to crumble? The Kelce Swift episode resonated because it was about all of us, stripped of pretense, united by love and worry and hope. The podcast also pulled back the curtain on the ways in which famous people, often seen as untouchable, are just as vulnerable as anyone else. The image of Taylor Swift, superstar, quietly researching surgeons in hospitals, doting over her father, and finding the strength to perform anyway, is one that will stay with fans for years. It's also a lesson in resilience. The Swifts and Kelces faced the crisis head-on, refusing to let fear take over. Instead, they organized, supported, and loved, sometimes all at once. Travis's willingness to open up about his own fear, about the moment he dropped his keys and just stood there, speaks to the power of honesty. Jason's admiration for Taylor's strength and his own role as a steadying force highlights the importance of community. Looking ahead, the episode leaves listeners with a sense of hope. Scott Swift's surgery became not just a story of survival, but a testament to the strength of family ties, ties that extend beyond blood to include friends, colleagues, and even podcast co-hosts. The Kelces' willingness to share their private pain and Taylor's ability to carry on in the face of adversity are reminders that even when the world feels overwhelming, we are never truly alone. As the episode drew to a close, Travis and Jason reflected on what they'd learned. "You see someone you love hurting, and you just want to fix it," Travis said. "But sometimes, all you can do is be there." Jason agreed, adding, "It's about showing up, even when you don't know what to say." And perhaps that's the real takeaway. In a world obsessed with perfection and performance, it is our imperfections, our fears, our tears, our moments of doubt that bind us together. The Kelce Swift episode is a love letter to anyone who has ever waited for a doctor's update, or sent a late-night text to a worried friend, or simply sat in silence, hoping against hope. For listeners, the episode was more than entertainment. It was a call to cherish those we love, to reach out when times are tough, and to remember that even in the darkest moments, there is light, sometimes found in the most unexpected places. Whether you're a football fan, a Swiftie, or simply someone who has loved and lost, the story of Scott Swift, the Kelce brothers, and Taylor is a reminder that life's true heroes are the ones who show up, hold your hand, and remind you that you're never fighting alone. As the credits rolled and the final notes of the podcast played, one thing was clear: this was an episode no one would soon forget. And for anyone who's ever faced a family crisis, it offered not just solace, but a sense of shared strength, a reminder that, no matter what, we keep moving forward together.